Hi guys, it's me Elsa. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my YouTube life story. Now, I'm here today to basically give you guys an update that I actually didn't give you an update about, but I'm going to do it today. I was working at this supermarket, and in this supermarket, they were basically giving me the morning shift. Now, they loved my professionalism. They loved how I came dressed to the interview and everything. They even loved my resume, my business cards, and they showed a lot of gratitude towards me. And I wound up getting the job when I did the interview. Now, why I'm here is because explaining to you guys this is because I didn't have a babysitter. It was very, very tough because there was no one that wanted to support me. Not in my family, not in my necessarily friend circle. And the job didn't pay much. Of course, this was in Lowndes County where this job was at. The job didn't pay enough, basically, within my first week for me to be able to pay for a babysitter. And then with me dealing with the churro company and me having to order an Uber or a taxi, it was taking more out of my pocket for a babysitter and everything else of that sort. So the people that I communicated with, not only did they didn't want to watch my children, they wanted the money up front as well. And at that moment, it was kind of tough because it was like my first week. So let's move on. I remember I have a cousin. It's a boy. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, if you don't mind, can you watch my son for about 4 or 5 hours? And I'll pay you. It's a small amount, but it's something. And you can watch him here at my house or whatever is convenient for you, which I would recommend it that he watch my 1-year-old in my house. Hear me out. Please hear me out. I hope I didn't cover the speaker either. Oh, God. So, my cousin came over and, I gave him a couple of tips and stuff like that. Hey, this is what I require of you. Make sure he eats, make sure he's all right, this, that, and the third. Now, out of everybody, that was the only one was in agreement to saying, hey, for that one day, if you pay me this, the amount that you can afford to pay me, I'll watch your son. So he came to my house and I noticed, my house was clean. I had food, everything was straight. So when I went to work, it really hurts me to explain the story, but I have to. When I went to work, I wound up eventually coming back home, of course. I had some things on my mind because, again, I have cameras in my house and also outside. So I noticed that what he did was, for 5 hours straight that I was gone, he was in the camera and he was just walking away from my son. My son, you can hear my son, just crying and screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. He walks away, he walks away, he walks away. So when I get in the house, I notice nonstop, my son is still, wah, 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 and he's asleep. at that moment. I'm like, hey, Alex, I'm ready to drop you off home. I reach down to my son and I give him a hug and a kiss. And I notice for 5 hours straight, he didn't even change my son's pamper. I work so hard, and why do I work so hard? It's because I want to be great. I want to be able to show my kids that when certain things don't work out, you can be able to make a way for yourself by being able to get up and, apply pressure and do what you have to do to put food on the table or whatnot. But I don't trust anybody watching my children. It's a scary situation. I don't want to fall out with anybody, and, they try to say this, he say, she say stuff. And I just don't trust people with my children. Eventually people, not everybody, but eventually some people show later on their true colors on how they feel about the mother or the father per se, for example. So you never know what a person's intention is towards your child eventually. You know what I'm saying? Or later on down the line. So it's just, that's the reason why I really work for myself. And I do my best. And I try my best as well, because I want to be able to also make sure my 1-year-old, especially my other 2 children, of course, learn Spanish. And Sergio, his brain is still developing. He's still growing and stuff like that. And he's only 1. So he's taking a lot of things in at an early age, He's at an early stage of his life is when he's learning faster. So that's why I like to monitor and making sure that, he's developing well when it comes to his second language, which is Spanish. I understand that his first language is English, and all around him is here in Georgia, or most of America, it's a lot of English. It's not only English, it's a lot of English. So that's why I appreciate and I'm grateful to be able to be there for my son. Yeah, sometimes I have my ups and downs with, working for myself and stuff like that. And not even with working for myself, in life in general. Sometimes I have my ups and downs, but it's what I do with it. I make the best out of it. And even when it's not easy, I manage it, and I'm able to just keep pushing, and that's what I recommend everybody to do. Also, when my son, my 10-year-old, he was like, I'll say 6 months, no, let's say 2 years old or 1 year old. He was at a daycare, and my God, in this daycare, I didn't do anything legally or anything, I just really liked it, the daycare. And they spoke a lot of Spanish, they were pretty cool people. But I'm just telling you that my son was working at a daycare. I mean, my son was going to this specific daycare. And when I went and picked up my son, his bottom lip was open, like bust open, like his whole two teeth, like his whole two teeth, like he fell and his whole 2 teeth bust this part open right here. So he had a big split, and they were able to, wipe it off before I came and, neosporin it up. So it wasn't like wide open, but I mean, he could have got stitches if you want to say that. It was a nice split. And what if is the question you don't know, because when I asked, they didn't have a sufficient answer. They don't know how it happened. He plays rough. He fell on his face and he did this and he did that. I mean, kids are kids. But, you know, we all have seen, and I'm not saying they did it, and I'm not saying that was the case, but we've seen little episodes here and there of real documentaries about kids getting smacked in the face in these daycares or in the nursing homes and stuff like that. And then when we see a nod, hey, no, you know how she is, or you know how the baby is, plays rough. And, you know, what if that's not the case, you know? So a mother in the thought of their child, and a father in the thought of their child, and something happening like that, it's kind of rough, especially when they have to go to work and provide, and they have to leave them to somebody that they believe that they can trust. So that's all I want to say, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I really appreciate all my supporters. I love you dearly, honestly. Take care.